Hey everybody, Rob Bartenstein again with another episode of Kestra on the Fly. I'm the CEO of Kestra Private Wealth Services, and I'm joined by my partner, as usual, Scott Wilson, COO of Kestra Private Wealth Services. Welcome, Scott.
Great to see you. We're having a great week here in Austin with our national conference.
Sure are.
It's been awesome.
Busy. And today we're joined by Gary Kiemele, founder, president, managing partner of WestPeak Private Wealth.
Yes.
From Missoula, Montana. Welcome, Gary.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Great to have you here. And thanks for making the trip all the way here, getting you out of maybe cold Montana.
Yeah, I did. I got out of a lot of cold. Blizzard, I think, when we left Missoula.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. But at least you were able to get out.
Yeah, we were.
Good. And it's pretty darn warm here this week.
It's nice.
It really is. Let's just jump in, Gary. Nothing too heavy here, but maybe it'd be good to just give a little description of your firm and the folks that what's your team look like, and feel free to comment on sort of how you began when in your prior life as a W-2 employee at the WireHouse. Like, how did you think about making this evolution, and what really got the wheels turning? We'll kind of go from there.
Sure. Yeah. We have a full service practice, estate planning, financial planning, retirement planning, the whole thing. My assistant, who's really more of a partner in the firm with me than an assistant, Merritt, she is a integral part of the whole operation. In fact, at the WireHouse, when we were making the decision to move, she was an important part of that decision process.
Yeah, I believe that.
And then we have a new member to our team, a CPA that's joined us, Cody Kitchen. He is actually setting up a full-blown CPA practice alongside us, but he's also we onboarded him this past week.
Yeah. Congrats.
As a
love seeing him
person in our firm. So he will be fully licensed sometime this year and become also a part of the wealth management side.
That's outstanding. That's certainly we're gonna get to that in a little bit and talk more about it. But there is definitely a trend happening on this front, and you're right in the front part of that, which is really cool. So when you were at the old firm, when did it start to dawn on you that, independence was the way you wanted to go?
Well, I'd been there for, I think it was about 6 years, and I was in the middle of a buyout of a former partner. And I just could see, both Merritt and I could see, things were just shifting in that corporate environment.
Yeah.
And we were finding it difficult to do things the way we felt like we really needed to for our clients, or the things we wanted to do for our clients.
Right.
And after a couple of years of thinking about this, I believe it was like during the COVID timeframe.
Yeah.
Some things happened that we just said, hey, we have to make a move. We have to make a break.
So they kind of forced your hand just from a corporate culture.
It was,
sort of
I think it was a frustration element, and I did a little, I'd been doing some investigating, over probably the prior 3 years to making a decision to move.
Yeah.
And I continued to do a little bit of that. And then I decided, this landscape is too broad. I need some help. So I hired a consultant, and they introduced me to a variety of firms. It's interesting. You guys were kind of at the end of their list. I don't know why they went that way.
We hear that all the time. We're always at the end of the list.
Yeah.
We're always at the end of the list.
I mean, I wish they would have put you.
Maybe it's good that we're at the end of the list.
I'll take it. It's good to be on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of like a breath of fresh air when I had a chance to. I think I talked with Scott first, and the whole idea of going independent and all of the things the decisions you have to make, the things you have to do that you're not really aware of early on in the process, was a little overwhelming. And we had a pretty good sized practice, and it was just Merritt and I, the two of us. And when I met Scott and found out he was a Montana boy, that made it even better. And the sense that I got, and this came from both conversations I've had with both of you, there was just this genuineness about, hey, we're here for you, to help you. And I felt like you guys really listened to my concerns and the reasons why I was leaving and the things that I wanted to change and make better.
What a great day. I remember that call. Growing up in Montana, building a business in Missoula.
Yeah.
I knew your old partner. I knew many of the people that you worked with. And I remember when you had your first open house at the country club, where I was a member. Rob and I spoke.
Yeah.
We even knew some of your clients
Yeah.
that used to work one way or another. It's a small town, but Missoula's beautiful and your office is amazing. And
totally.
The whole, with your son, he works for Kestra Financial, and that obviously didn't hurt. He was happy here, and I think he gave us a pretty good endorsement.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting story because he had moved down here. I think it was maybe a couple of months before I fully made the decision to move, and I didn't really talk to him much about it. He had his own career now, and because he had been working with us at the WireHouse, and I really didn't know anything about Kestra. He told me that Kestra was an independent advisory firm, but I was working with this consultant, and they weren't taking me there yet.
Yeah, thanks for nothing, consultant. Well, I was gonna hold the Montana thing a little bit, but how could we not talk about it? So, but in that context, let's talk about your name, the firm name, WestPeak. So, just tell us how you came up with that.
I just like the way it sounded. It's hey, we're in the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah,
and we're in the western side of Montana, and so the West Peak. Lots of peaks around there. And I think in a way it speaks to what we want to do with our clients. We want to elevate them, take them to the top. And I really feel like I'm a guide, and it's kind of like, why do you hire a fishing guide, right?
Yeah.
It's because you don't know where the fish are and you don't know how to get there, but you want someone to take you there. And that's really what
that's really cool. That's a great way of putting it. And of course, I mean, I don't want to make anybody jealous, but we've spent a lot of time fishing out there in Montana. It's been amazing, and we've had some great guides along the way too. All right, so let's talk about the balance maybe of personal and professional. Scott mentioned how cool your office is, and I totally agree. But now that you're independent, how has that changed or shifted the balance of how you can manage your personal life and your professional life?
Well, I'm a lot more relaxed.
Yeah.
And I'll have clients tell me this. They'll say, and this was probably that first year after we moved, they would come in the office and they would say, wow, you just look so much more relaxed.
Well, your office, in all seriousness, right? His office is the kind of place you want to just hang out. It's like the coolest vibe. It's like you're in, I don't know. I don't want to say, I don't know. It's like half like the coolest restaurant you've ever been to or the coolest bar you've ever been to or something, but it's also like a private club.
It's got all of that.
It's got all of that.
Well, plus really it's just right down the road from your country club where you can, golf, and it's close to the house where Penny can just run down to the office.
It's an easy drive home. I don't have to fight a bunch of traffic.
Yeah.
Prior firm, I was right in downtown. Missoula's not a big place, but it's all relative, frustration level with
right.
And so it's nice. We're really happy that it worked out.
And that's a real trend. People want to have an office close to where they
nobody tells us I work downtown and I want to keep working downtown. Well, that never happened.
Penny has told me, and Penny's your wife, how relaxed you are and how happy she is to see you have much more, fulfillment and happiness out of what you're doing. So that's really rewarding.
Yeah. There's a freedom that comes with this. It's not that, the work is still there.
Sure.
And the work is hard at times,
Yeah.
But, when you know that you own the business, you're not looking over your shoulder. Okay, what's the firm going to do now? What's going to come at us? And I'll say that, the whole group at Kestra, the back office, the compliance department here is awesome. Mike Pedlow that runs that. I mean, I don't know if there's any other compliance person like him.
No, I think you're right. Well, of course, he was an advisor before he became a compliance person, so he gets it.
Yeah.
I mean, he really knows.
The concierge service, everything, everybody's nice. There's always going to be pain points at places.
Right.
But, Merritt has really enjoyed, working with people. And one of her comments was, because she used to go to meetings at our prior firm where they'd have the administrative people come in, and she's done that here. And she has said that just the vibe of it's just very much more friendly.
Yeah,
it feels more like a family, So the environment that Kestra has created is really unique.
And the cool thing with Merritt, speaking of Merritt, she has a title and a role that she probably couldn't have had at the WireHouse, right? I mean, it just the freedom you have to reward her for the effort and the involvement in your business because she's critical. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing there.
Well, what's interesting about that is that, she's fully licensed. She's been in the industry a long time, going back to the 90s.
Yeah.
She was in it, and then she left and came back. And in fact, this is our 10-year anniversary.
Oh, really?
Of working together.
That's great.
Wow. Right.
But she's fully capable of doing reviews with clients, and we wanted her to do that at our prior firm. But we needed to have a lot more revenue.
Right.
And we were a decent sized practice for her to be able to do that. And it was just like, well, what's that about? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So with us now, she's a service advisor. She can do everything I do. We have a block of clients that, she takes care of. She does the reviews. She does all of the wealth planning stuff. She collects the data, puts everything. I show up for the meeting and kind of chime in if I have to.
That's awesome.
But we just have a lot more freedom especially in her role, for her to do the things she wants to do and really allow us as a practice to leverage her skills more.
So would it be fair to say then, and it sounds like a leading question, but I just have to ask it. Did we deliver for you on what we promised?
Oh yeah. 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 It's anytime you make a move like this, it's stressful.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah. It's never easy.
There's so many moving parts, there's no way around not having a difficult period, but it's really worth it. Once you get through that, and I haven't talked to anybody that has ever said, "Oh, I had a great transition. It was fun. I enjoyed it."
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard.
It's hard.
But it is so worth it on the other side.
Yeah.
And I think, anybody that listens to this is thinking about it, but that part scares them.
Mm-hmm.
I would just say, lean into that fear, because it doesn't last forever. It's kind of like market declines. They're not permanent.
It's interesting. You said you've never talked to anybody who said they had a fun transition. I've never talked to anybody who isn't glad they did it.
Yeah.
Once they finish doing it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we try to make it. I mean, look, we do everything we can to make that experience in our model. We Serena Coca, the work she does ahead of time to get you prepared is phenomenal. And she was our CCO prior. She knows and understands all the protocol, regulations and to really keep you within, the guardrails of what you can and can't do, because we're very sensitive to that. She did a great job getting you ready with Merritt.
She's great. She did a great job in the pre-move ramp up. And after that, I mean, I just want to make a point about this. The team that you guys have with PWS to do these transitions is awesome. Kevin with the real estate,
Kevin,
like, I after I went through this process with you, I kind of realized how difficult, like, the real estate's not an uncomplicated thing.
That's right. No, it's not.
And we struggled just because the real estate market in Missoula is tough. It's tight.
Yeah.
And I thought, what if I'd gone a different route and I was having to figure all this stuff out.
Yeah.
In the midst of moving a business and everything that goes with that. I mean, the real estate piece, I'm so grateful that you guys were able to handle it the way you did. And as it turned out, the building that I moved into didn't really need any work. So all the things that we were planning when we were thinking we were going to have to go the other way, we didn't have to worry about once we actually made the move that we made. But your whole team is great. They take really good care of it.
Well, it's funny on the real estate. I know we're a little ahead of ourselves, but maybe you rented when we had temp space while we were getting your office ready. It was my old office when I worked at our prior WireHouse firm. And
that's wild. I remember that.
When I walked in there,
you were like upstairs or something?
Yeah, it was the exact same office.
Oh, same office. Okay.
But when we looked at your space initially to buy, the first building fell through, the space that was available. They took us to the owner's space.
Yeah.
And I walked in, I'm like, Gary, this is the one you should buy. And the guy's like, nah, he's not going to sell it. And then the more we talked and worked through it, they eventually came back around and it was walk-in ready. I mean,
we had kind of come to the end of the line.
Yeah.
And the space that was open that we were thinking of leasing was downtown. I didn't feel right about it. I just kind of felt sick in my stomach. And the realtor calls that we were working with and says, hey, this place came up for sale. I want you to look at it. And I wasn't even thinking of buying because I was like, oh, God, I don't want the debt, and looked at it and realized it was that office.
Yeah.
And I sent the thing to you and
I said, buy it.
Yeah. I said, what do you think of this? And you said, if you don't do this, you're crazy.
Yeah.
It was,
I remember just, and I'm always just observing from the outside on this stuff for the most part. But I remember watching that entire process and thinking to myself, I mean, we might get skunked in Missoula. Like it was that tight. It was that hard to find space.
It was weird.
It was weird. And we looked
at a tight market.
We looked at some crazy places too.
Yeah.
We had to say no to a few places were going to be some work, but that place was gorgeous. And I'll tell you what you've done there and the space you have for Cody now and the ability to, go to the golf course in 5 minutes. I'll tell you and to own your business and to build wealth. We come up with a formula based on your revenue, which in that marketplace worked well. Don't you agree that process works pretty well? The way
yeah. It was simple. It was
fair,
easy to understand. It was fair. The whole situation. I have a tenant that also pays rent. The rent altogether covers all my expenses and more. So it was a no-brainer.
Sounds like we need to lower the rent, maybe.
Yeah, what the hell are you doing over there? All right. So you mentioned Cody, and we've talked about merit, but let's circle back and dig into this a little bit because I think your one of your main goals is to differentiate yourself and your practice in Missoula, and those two people play a really important role in that. So why don't we talk about them a little bit?
Yeah, well, tax planning is a big deal.
Yeah.
We would get questions all the time from clients, or things would come up that I would have to ask, do you know what tax bracket you're in? Do you know anything about your taxes? And they, most of the time, didn't. And often, didn't have a close relationship with their CPA.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have the ability to offer help like that to all of our clients, even to have Cody do their taxes and kind of have everything under one roof. When I brought up the idea of this to clients, over the last couple of years, the answer was always, oh, if I had all this under one roof, it would be great.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
It's 100% true. Yeah.
So, and then it expands the things we can do. We can work with business owners that are selling their business and just cover everything from the tax planning right on through to the estate and wealth planning. I think it's going to be a real attractor for other advisors that maybe want to join us.
I absolutely think it's going to
because it's a great package deal.
And I think the beauty, what I find, that topic scares people. Right, because at the WireHouse,
you mean the adding?
Yeah, the adding. I mean, they just don't understand it, and they've been told there's no way you can do it. The beauty is you worked with Mike and Frank and the supervision team. They walked you through how you structure that, the obligation you have to disclose certain things as an outside business, what you have to do to be compliant with FINRA and all the regulations? Because there's a lot to that.
Mhm.
But didn't you think that process, worked well with the guidance that we were able to give you so that you're in compliance? Yeah.
Yeah, and we had numerous conversations around that because we didn't really know how it was going to go uh, in the interim, up until the last, I don't know, 3 months or so.
Yeah.
But yeah, Serena was involved in that. She helped a lot. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
It's really, I think it is special, and it's going to really make you guys stand out. And look, we are both consumers of financial services advice, and I would love that relationship to be set up that tightly. So how many years are we celebrating now? 3, 4?
I think 4.
4, yeah.
Yeah, September of 21. So
Yeah.
Tell me how things have changed for you personally and professionally. And actually, what I really want to know is, how have your client relationships changed since you made the move?
It's interesting. It's like they've gotten closer.
Yeah.
You know,
Why do you think?
I can't put my finger on, other than, we are. Maybe it's because we just seem more relaxed. They don't have to drive downtown and get in an elevator and
Yeah.
go 7 floors.
garage.
It's we're closer to where our clients live. And I think they just have their faith and trust in us has even grown more.
Yeah. Well, and I wonder, I'm just speculating here, but I wonder if that's because when they look at you now, and Merritt and Cody, they know that what they're getting is just that, right?
Right.
And I mean that in a good way. There's no sort of corporate agenda behind you. They know that there's not some script that you're being told
Right.
to say, or whatever. It's kind of like, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like having a relationship with your doctor. It's a more personal thing, because it's
Yeah.
just one-on-one.
And don't you think, because you're a fiduciary now, that is a big differentiator? The WireHouse is a little afraid to use the fiduciary word.
No, 100%.
And we view you as a fiduciary. Is that something that comes up a lot?
The fiduciary aspect of it doesn't come up that much, but I will say that when we made the move and we introduced Kestra, and how now we're independent, and we explained that whole thing.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think people liked was we said, look, we have to show you everything that we're providing you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the disclosure documents that new
Yeah.
clients get, and they
Yeah.
see this stuff. It's like, wow, there's a lot here. What's
Yeah.
this all about? And I would just explain to them, well, look, in the independent world, we have to disclose way more than what gets disclosed in a WireHouse, because they have everything just kind of wrapped up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's been just good for people to bring them some comfort that, oh, okay, this is all much more above board than what it was, at the WireHouse. So
That's awesome. And it just keeps playing out that way over and over.
And the other thing I'd add to that is, there's so many more things that we can offer them that we could never offer them at the WireHouse.
Yeah.
Halista Plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The tax planning software that lets us analyze their tax return.
That's been a huge hit.
Yeah. There's a whole variety of other things related to that kind of service that we can do now, that there was no way you would get a program like that through the approval process.
Good luck.
No, we'll call you in never. Yeah, I know. And I think that if we're thinking about it from an institutional standpoint, we're small enough, we're nimble enough, and we're connected to you enough that when you put something like that up for a review, like, hey, can we use this? Like, is this going to be okay to use? We can do what we need to do to get it through the system and protect everybody, but still have that sort of flexibility. I mean, that's kind of the magic of.
I think we're the right size. I mean, we're not too big. We're not some small company. I mean, we have a great ratio of home office employees to the field. And I think you're able to get to know people and really solve these issues quickly, much quicker than you would in any of these big firms that you were at, the old WireHouse, or any of the competitors that we have that are significantly bigger than we are.
True. Look, we're running out of time, and I'm sorry we don't have more time, Gary, because we could do this for a long time with you. But just a couple of really quick ones. So, is there anybody in your life that is or was a role model for you or a mentor?
I've had many. When you get, and I'm not that much older than you guys, but when you get to this stage of life, I mean, you look back.
I'm not sure you're older than either of us.
I think I am.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
We're close.
All right.
But there's so many people that come through your life that had an impact, and I can't say there's just one, but I can look back and see through the years, and especially since I've been in the business, people that really gave me guidance and taught me things that helped me, work my way through the path. And I'd say in a certain way, you guys have been kind of a mentor to me, because I've learned a lot from you, and my faith and excitement about what I can do moving forward with the people on my team. It's really exciting, and I feel like I have an energy in my work now that I didn't have. I don't think I had this kind of energy at any point since I started in 2009.
That's the greatest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Awesome.
So good. Any bits of wisdom or sayings that sort of always echo in your head? I know we each have those things that, they become such a part of you. They just permeate everything you do. Anything like that?
Go Grizz.
Yeah.
Go Grizz.
I've had sayings on the tip of my tongue in the past, and I can't remember them right now.
Yeah.
But I just, if there's a message that I would give anybody that's watching this, that's thinking, hey, I think I might want to go independent, I would just say, look into it. Don't let your fear stop you from exploring the whole process, and, talk to a group like you folks early in the process.
You mean instead of last?
Yeah.
Okay.
Saved you time.
Because,
we got to find that consultant.
Yeah, because it's hard, but it's really worth it. And that's what I'd say.
That's well said. And I think the saying that brought to mind is that, like, everything you want's on the other side of your fear, right?
I saw this quote that it was, life is either a daring adventure or nothing.
That's right. That's so good. Well, on that note, I think there's no better way to leave it than right there. Well said, Gary. So this has been yet again another episode of Kestra on the Fly. We appreciate you being with us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.